Guys, does that look like you? Preparation is so important for golf, and it's what the good players do. It's what the good players do so well. So guys, thank you very much for checking out the channel. If you are new to the channel, please do hit that subscribe button. It's been a couple of weeks since I've managed to put any content out. I did have some appendix surgery, so obviously I wasn't really able to really move around that much, but thankfully I had a couple of little videos that I could edit and get out in time. But the channel is just not big enough for me to be able to go and produce enough content. If something like that happens, I've got content to fill in the gaps. I just don't have that time. So I'm out on the golf course today, and I want to be talking to you today about what the good golfers do. You see this so often. So if you prepare correctly, I would say correctly, for a golf shot, one of the most common things I see from golfers is alignment, how they line up. And the golfers always say, well, how do I align my feet to the target? And the question is, will you line your feet to the target parallel to how you've lined your club? But what I see too often is golfers lining up their feet and then lining up the club. This is the worst way to line up on a golf course, where you kind of set your feet and you're trying to look around and you're looking over your shoulder and you're trying to figure out if this is set correctly. Because the worst thing and the most important thing at the moment is that the golf club sets the target. This is what's going to be hitting the golf ball, so make sure this is set perfectly. If you line your setup, if you line your hips and you get them slightly wrong, and then you put your club parallel to how you've lined up your body, you're invariably going to miss the target. Now, if we spend a little bit more time focusing on where this points instead of where the body points, it's going to make a huge difference. I could set this straight down to my target line, put my feet like this. I can still hit the golf ball straight. So that shows that this is not going to be as important. However, if I set my feet this way and put the golf club parallel, I'm going to hit the ball a long way left, and vice versa if I aim it to the right hand side. So massively important that we actually get the club face in the right position. This video is all about preparation. So first of all, once you've got to the golf ball, rule number one, you need to see what type of lie you've got. Then you need to figure out what yardage you've got. So I've got a golf watch on my wrist. It's telling me I've got around about 145 yards to the middle of the green. I'm holding a 9-iron. Now, based on my yardage, I can pick my club. Now, based on my lie, I can also pick a club, because sometimes if I've got like a really steep uphill, then I might need an 8-iron, because the uphill lie is going to launch the ball up higher, therefore meaning it's going to go shorter. If I've got a 145 and the slope's quite severe going downhill, it potentially might come off further, and I might maybe hit a small 9-iron or a pitching wedge, because the launch angle is going to be lower. So the lie is going to influence the type of shot I'm going to play. If I'm coming out of the rough and it's not a great lie, or I'm thinking, oh, this could be a bit of a flyer lie. And a flyer lie is when the grass is up in and around the side of the ball. The grass gets then stuck between club and ball, and if it does so, the ball just comes out with no spin and goes miles. So then I might think, well, if it's a flyer lie, I might hit a gap wedge or a pitching wedge. So you've got to assess the situation. You've got to assess as well, it's 145 to the middle of the green. Is the flag 20 yards behind that or 10 yards short of it? What's the miss? What's the good shot? What's the bad shot? Now, saying all that makes it sound like it could take ages to think about and to make a decision on. But actually, the more you're doing this, the quicker you'll make these decisions, and the better you'll make these decisions as well. And that's important, quality decision making. So thankfully for me, I'm on a flat line in the middle of the fairway from 145. It's a perfect 9-iron. So how I approach this shot is I look straight down my target line. I get right behind the golf ball, in between the golf ball and the target, and I try and do my practice swings as I'm looking down the line. I'm always familiarising myself with what I'm seeing. Okay, good players will do this as well. You watch the PGA Tour, everything they do, generally everything they do is from behind the ball, with the ball in between them and the target, particularly when they line up. So now when I'm lining up, I've got the club in the air, I'm using the golf club to go through the middle of the golf ball down my target line, and I'm going to pick something out in front of the ball. Okay, so I'm going to pick out, I've got a nice little patch here. So what are we, 3-4 feet in front of the golf ball? I've got a nice little patch, and I'm going to go right to the very edge of that patch. So I'm going to line up my club 90-degree angle to that little patch. Once the club is set, and this is a key one as well, once the club is set, I've got my shaft angle nice and straight, and I'm going to set my body to the shaft angle. I'll do that from your angle here. Once I put the club in behind the ball, you see the shaft angle? So I'm always going to say, right, my body's now going to be at a 90-degree angle to the shaft. So now I can set, and I can set my posture now because I'm stood in a straight line. Just drop down into my posture, ball position's in my centre with an iron, and I'm in a really good position. And most importantly, I know that my golf club is pointing at the target. Because obviously, if your feet are pointing in the wrong direction, then you put your golf club to your body, you're going to be aiming in the wrong place, okay? So again, no one hits the ball straight, so if I hit a little bit of a draw, my natural lining up will be slightly right of target to hit a draw. If I hit a bit of a cut, my natural lining up is going to be slightly left of target for a right-handed golfer for that little fade. So we're going to assume that my 9-iron goes straight. So from what you see on the video, you're going to see that big tall building in the background. It's very Dubai, it's very Dubai. So where is there not a tall building in Dubai? So anyway, you don't see any 2-story houses over here. So that's not a house, by the way. Right, so I'm going to aim at that. I'm going to point, got my little point in front of me there. So I'm going to take my grip so the club face doesn't move. I'm going to do my feet. So my feet are parallel to the club. My chest is parallel to the golf club itself. I'm going to hit. That's not a bad shot. Slight push. But I feel like I can walk away from that shot having lined up correctly, not questioning my lineup, because one of the things in golf is there's so many inconsistencies in the golf swing, in the movements, in the techniques, in the swing pass, the angle of attacks, all this stuff. I was going to say nonsense then, but it's not nonsense. And we've got to be able to do the simple stuff, right? We've got to be able to do the stuff that we can control. We can control where this point's at setup. Just like at setup, we can control the grip and the posture and the stance and the width of stance. We can control all of this. And again, this is what the good players do. They control what can be controlled. You can't fully control what your golf swing's doing during the swing. You kind of know what it's going to do. You know what ball flight you might produce, but you can't absolutely 1,000,000% control exactly the golf swing. Otherwise, we'd all be hitting the ball amazing, wouldn't we? Okay, because we can repeat it often if we're in full control. What we can control is how we prepare for a shot, how we line up, what club we use, what shot we think we're going to try and play. And you might be watching this thinking, I'm not even a good enough golfer to know what shot I'm going to play. You'll be a better golfer by at least attempting a type of shot. So if you know your ball is going to move from left to right and you generally lose a bit of distance, take club up. Majority of golfers that I do playing lessons with, they club down. They club to the yardage they think they should hit the ball, rather than the yardage that they actually do hit the ball. Majority of danger on golf courses, around the greens, is generally short. Obviously, you've got the odd out of bounds over the back and the odd bunker at the back, but if you think about where bunkers are, they're at the front edges of the greens. So you could always go for the middle of the green and you're generally going to get past the trouble. Again, obviously hole by hole it changes, but as a general rule of thumb, the majority of golfers do leave it short, okay? So how you approach the golf shot is so important, okay? So I'm going to do a little series on what good golfers do. We're going to be talking about the takeaway, the backswing, the top of the backswing, every single part of a golf swing that the good golfers do that you can learn to take onto the golf course as well. We're going to be talking about it from a professional's perspective, from a tour professional's perspective, and from a low handicapper's perspective, because they all do very similar things, and it's something that if you struggle with any sort of preparation or anything in your golf swing, you can learn from these good players, okay? It's not all about being super technical, it's about learning the process of how they do things. All right, guys, thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this tip. Nice to be back making some content after 5 weeks it's taken, to be fair, so it's been a while, so it's nice to be back on the horse. Guys, if you're new to the channel, please do subscribe. Also follow me on my social media platforms. If you like Instagram, your Twitter, your TikTok. I know I was that bored of not making any content, I even signed up to TikTok. And anything like that, please do follow me on my social media platforms, and I'll see you again very soon.